This is the crème de la crème in education sector in Kano State. They were gathered to share, update, and overview of the girl education budget to determine findings from the relevant ministries, departments, and government agencies with girl education specific projects. The participants have also discussed possible ways for further engagement with stakeholders that will facilitate releases and implementation of girls' education projects. The meeting was kick-started with presentation of objectives of the session by the co-chair Girls Education Partnership.
What have we obtained? To disseminate findings from the relevant MDAs with girls' education specific projects, to identify possible ways for further engagement with stakeholders that will facilitate release and implementation of girls' education projects. That was what I told you in one single short phrase. So we are here because we have all contributed to girls' education and to tell each other what we have done.
Then climate setting by PERL Partnership Facilitator Hajara Sulaiman.
If you remember, we had a series of engagements sometimes back, let's look at it even from 2021 up to 2028. Lots of successes, challenges, stories to share. Why we are all doing this is just to ensure that girl education is successfully implemented in Kano State. So part of the journey we have sat, we have done a lot of engagements, just like I mentioned, and then we are state actors. Why? Because we were successful to achieve, to get a budget line which will reflect the effective delivery of girl education in Kano State. So based on that, we have been able to bring together some of our key relevant stakeholders who are the DPRS to come together with the citizens to actually look for where is the performance of this this budget that we have been actually looking at, and we have been following to track to see the implementation of these funds that are allocated for this specific girl education activities. So based on that, today we are here to actually look into this, just like what Mama said. I'm not going to talk about the objectives again, but rather to look at what we have been able to deliver of girl education in Kano State. And I hope we will have a successful deliberation throughout the day. Thank you very much.
It is now time for dissemination of findings from 2022 Girls Education Budget Performance by Malan Safiani Bichi.
Don't forget education, because we all know government is the primary funder of girls education. So whatever might come as funding is just to supplement what the government is doing. So that's why we will give more emphasis on what the governments have released. Or we have most of these projects that are basically girls education projects. For example, in the Ministry of Local Government, there was recruitment of additional female teachers, basic and secondary education across the states. In the Ministry of Education, there are 3 projects. One that was approximately 50 million, called Enhancing Inclusive Education for Girls, or PWDs across the states. And also there's another one, provision of 10 shuttle buses for girls education. There was construction of block of classrooms, provision of furnitures, instructional materials, and supply of high-capacity buses for girls in primary and secondary schools. And also, from another MDA, that's Ruasa, we were able to have a project called construction rehabilitation of toilets for children or students with special needs at girls' schools in 3 sectoral zones. So most of these projects, we were able, because of the budget line, we were able to have them that to speak any scheme again and on purposely is get education project. Next slide. Next slide. Sorry. Okay. In our analysis, we discovered that these MDS, they are the ones that are more concerned with girls' education. And also we were able to find some of the girls' education projects within those MDS, like Ministry of Science and Technology, Innovation, ita kanta Ministry of Education din, wa uba kenan, SUBEB, Kano State Library Board, Agency for Mass Education, Science and Technical Schools Board, Kano State Islamic and Quranic Schools Board, Ministry for Local Government, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, RUASA, such as the capital allocations, but not for girls, but for the sectors. So out of this, we can are grown up for the girls. And these are the MDAs. And also, these are the Kotawa of the 2 performers. I think we have done this, but the most important thing now, we have gotten more money out of it. And I maybe if we get it wrong, you can correct it for us. Because from the releases, the book has Kotawa and Kotawa 2 performers, it shows that under Ministry of Science and Technology, they budgeted 167,980 million releases. Actually, one of and then the same thing, Ministry of Education is 185 million, and then Agency for Mass Education 12 million, and then Ministry for Local Government 1 billion 932, 730, sorry, 1 trillion. Sorry, is that? Yeah, 1 billion. Yeah, 1 billion. And I got 100 all the time here. We don't want 1,000%. She said. Sorry. And then, if you look at it, RUASA, there was about 260 million that was released. But unfortunately, often all these releases, higher so far, is I think it's only very few. I will show in the next slide. We have seen the releases for sectors, but we were still skeptical about, or we are still concerned about what is there for the girls. Because you only release the money, or you release the money to the sector. But look at it, SUBEB, that we have the basics education, 0% releases. Library, in which 0%, Science Board, 0, Private and Voluntary, 0, Quranic Islamia, 0, Women Affairs, 0. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So, from the releases, we're able to find this, that out of it, this one's, next, okay. These ones, they are the projects, these are releases. Education, sorry, general education 2022 budget. So far. So, releases for both, we were only able to find AMSAM releases now about 138 million. Out of it, only 17,478 is for girls. Right. Next. Then, projects released for girls specific, because as I've said, we are concerned about girls specific. So looking at it, we have found out that even after we've gotten most of this information by second quarter, the budget, whereby we know that the third quarter is about to come out, so we have gotten some of the information apart from what we were able to get previously. Because feeding is a huge amount of money, about 326 million was released for feeding. But I want to say to boarding schools. So, so there are about 306 million released so far. Then, a quick qualifying Islam, which they call traditional Islam. Mama, qualifying Islam. Yes, the government was able to. Transitional, okay?
qualifying exams at 116 million.
Yeah.
I think it's quite low because His Excellency the Governor, and that brought about an increase of 199 million for girls alone. For girls alone, we added, or like the government added, 199 million for girls alone, because we had the initial qualification was for all to have 9 credits including mathematics. But then when we met His Excellency and requested that girls, like the partnership has suggested, girls should have no qualifying exams. And then he asked us to give him the financial implication. Now, when we looked at it, it was above 1 billion naira, but it was too much. So we decided to go back to the drawing board, look for areas where we can, so that we can get some sensible amount of money. So looking at girls with 8 credits, including English and mathematics, 7 to 8 credits, we came up with a total sum of 199 million. And this was promptly approved as addition to perhaps what you have there, because that is not even up to 199 million. So there was an addition of 199 million for girls alone in the year.
Let me finish then.
Transitional exams, there is a difference between the transitional exams. Transitional exams,
Come on, but Amasa still also, I think, qualifying is also part of it.
it's not.
I think it's not clear. We understand. It's not clear that transitional exam is what we are talking about. Perhaps we are talking about NAFO, empires, these are the two, perhaps empires and the other one. For those three, and NAFTA. For those three, if you put together 177 plus 90, that is where we added, government added 199 million.
It's not clear.
Thank you very much. Transitional, we're talking about common interest and the
Junior.
Good, thank you. And then, for NEPA exams, now we have even the money that thank you. Likewise, the empires, but I don't know what's happening with the NAPTEP, because government is also paying for NAPTEP. Is NAPTEP in NEPCO?
No.
It's on its own. The empires is on its own. And then there's 12 million naira for SAMI. And also, we learned that 12.4 million was released for the first of buses that I can even Ministry of Education, and then also about 132 million naira that was also released for the renovation and repairs of modern Subakaran, children's 3 girls' schools, which is about 132 million. Next slide. Sorry. Next. Okay. And come back. Sorry. And then this is girl specific at memo level, because we have been down one and 2 MDS to Dala and Kazaika. So now we have about 2 MDS that are the projects at memo level, whereby there is 19 million from WASA. Yeah, they have seen the memo, now it's at the memo level. And also there's 100 million from local government, yes. What did I say? Yes. Sir? Spiritual teachers, yes. Next slide. So, this is the end of operation. That's why we said it's not something, but when I will do this, but our main aim is, let's now, for example, there are some at the memo level. What can we do to ensure that children, which memo level, there are some releases. There are some at the releases level, which are yet to be implemented, even at the implementation level, because our government will take a look at times, even if government is about the contract like that, it's the responsibility of the partnership to follow it and ensure anyone now. So at least that's why we are projecting this so that we show that Ana kaza, we have not done this or not done this. What can we do to ensure that from now to what the local, because very soon that's it's not everything that we can get. So let's try and see within where we can achieve something so at least we can be proud, and even the government can use it also. Because even in Kidao says about 60% by time. So maybe if government can do something to the girls, they might win the political plan. Thank you very much.
After the presentation, the participants have thoroughly debated and suggested the way forward.
Because now all our centers are girls and women, yes.
There is an observation and also to advise the partnership. Recently, the state government has approved and released money to Kanobja. They are rehabilitating about 21 schools, and out of it, I think 70 or 75% of those schools are girls' schools. On Thursday, we were invited, we went to Dabo, Mekoteshi, and Co. The Kanobja are rehabilitating, so I think there is need for this partnership to visit the MD, because the money has been released and they are right now renovating those schools.
Mine is just an observation. Since representative of local government and Rwasa are here, we want to hear more from them about the memo they sent to the government.
If we can have the duplicate where they receive, because up to now, I haven't seen anything from Ministry of Education regarding child education.
No, maybe Director, are you attending this for the first time?
No, sir.
I think you are not attending for the first time. I think that has been, what you are asking has already been done. I think the memo should be with you, with the Ministry of Local Government. If you go back, find out, because we have been talking about it, and it looks as if, well, the vacuum, because there has not been a commissioner at the ministry, maybe, but we have been talking about this, and the impression we had was that I think there was advocacy going to the ministry, and so we are at the level of having the memo. Don't worry, you will respond later. But this is by way of comment on that. I think we had a general problem. There are problems in the sense that both Ministry for Local Government and Ministry of Education had no commissioners for some time now. But all memos, I want to say, will usually be taken to the council by commissioners. But even if there are no commissioners, once the memo gets to the council secretariat, the council will allocate some commissioners to read memos for them. But I don't think this has been done. But the good news is that, as you all know, yesterday His Excellency the Governor saw in commissioners, including the commissioners for local government and education. I'm pleased to say that Ministry of Education have brought a new commissioner who I have just spoken with while here, former Speaker Alhaji Yawu. He is looking forward to working with us. And I informed him we are here having a meeting of GEP. And I want to say that all of you that have memos waiting for presentation to council should, for us, will assist and ensure that the new commissioner gets as many memos as possible for presentation, for his presentation, at least pioneer presentation, first presentation. Let's have many memos. Let's have the most important ones. Let's have some of them that are about girl education, so that we could give to him to present at the next council. Those of you at the Ministry of Education, and who? Amina, yes.
And the director.
You should get memos ready for presentation to Honorable Commissioner. Same, same to you. Malam, the new commissioner will be, I think, going to office on Monday. It's not a bad thing if you bring up memos that are related to GEP. Give us, we tell him, we advocate to him to please present this to the council. But then you do your official thing by your ES presenting to the ministry also. We will help to fast track
memo presentation for the new commissioner. That's what we start with the girl education program. So let's have them by. But I want to correct the impression made by Sapiano that we have not yet started, the politics have not started, it has started. I have waited to see His Excellency for 7 days, although I see him, but I never have the opportunity to have anything signed. So nowadays, I go about with my files in my car. If I have the opportunity to see him, I get. But in the last 2 weeks, in fact, on Friday, I was at Government House till 3 a.m. I have seen him, but not in a way that he could sign anything for me. So I think we have started. The issue of politics has barely started, but we'll persevere. We can remain, once we have paper, we'll persevere and ensure that we get most of them attention for most of them. We'll try, we'll keep trying. That's what I was saying. But for BEMOS, we have a new commissioner, so we should be happy for that. Thank you very much.
Of the schools we visited, out of the first batch, 4 schools are for girls. The first one, Gamma Girls Senior Secondary School, Dabu. Construction of wall paints, repairs of leakages in 6 number of classrooms, repair of wall cracks, repairs of ceiling, construction of 2 blocks of toilets. The project is ongoing now. Then Gamma Girls Secondary School, Cherenchi, construction of wall paints and construction of 1 block of 3 classes, 60% completed at the time we visited this place. Then Gamma Girls Secondary School, Dukawea, renovation of 4 number of classrooms. The project is ongoing. Then First Lady College Mariri Rehabilitation Center, renovation of hostels, classroom and dining hall. The project is ongoing. These are the 4 schools out of the first batch we visited on Thursday. And maybe if we're able, I'm able to get the remaining, I will pass it through the Secretary of the Sali, inshallah.
Memos pending at the council secretariat. Secretariat, yeah, the council secretariat, sir.
Let the commissioner know that when he gets to council, them for him to study so that he can present appropriately.
We are going to the secretariat. Here we have them. Yes, we are going to forward them. Thank you, sir.
Is specifically looking at the releases or projects that has been put in place, which are girls related one. I think we should also share with the larger group and participant the efforts done around the procurement of ICT material, which is done by, or is on pipeline with the IHS store. Is it MTL or IHS store? IHS store, where 3 schools were identified, all of which are girls' secondary schools. I think the co-chair should also share with the larger group on the status of that airport. And as a partnership, I think we should also get ready to engage the new commissioner, because we are now having, okay, so we'll way forward. Yeah, thank you.
I think what we had with IHS was one each from the 5 Emirates. And I think what part of us, we went around to inspect schools in the 5 Emirates. I think we have identified schools, but then somewhere along the line, IHS on its own decided to choose, I think, the girls' school in Guinea for the Kano Emirates. That is not the one that we chose anyway as a group. But then I think we agreed with them that they could go ahead and do that one. But then they have agreed that also we will now give them the remaining 5 schools that we have chosen from the remaining 4 Emirates. And I think we are about to do that. Co-chair is here. She's saying that we are about to give them the list of the remaining 4 schools. I think what is interesting is that when we went around the schools, we were looking for halls that could be put into shape put into a structure that could accommodate an ICT center. That's what I get later. What we got later from IHS is that we are going to build a one-story building ICT center at the GGU Secondary School. So we have not asked the schools that we have gone around, we have not asked them to stop the renovations or repairs. But then we are keeping our fingers crossed because it looks like it is going to be much more than just provision of computers and ICT center. It's going to include the building of a one-story building. That is what it looks like. So we are keeping our fingers crossed. I think the local government councils in charge of repairs, we have sent copies of our letters to former Commissioner Ministry for Local Government, Alaji Mursala Garo. I sent copies for him because he agreed to facilitate repairs, particularly the completion of the hall at the GGSS Dawa in Tofa. We have sent copies of that. It will be a double advantage if the halls are completed and IHS later comes to say that it's going to build a one-story building. So we are waiting to see what will eventually happen. But then I think the process of the provision of the ICT center at GGU is about to begin. I think IHS is waiting for a letter from the Ministry of Education for them to commence. I hope the Ministry of Education has given out the letter.
Yes, the letter is
brought to IHS. Okay, well, there is a letter written to this is an approval for construction of ICT center at GGSSDU. So I think we are on track. We'll also wait to you for the remaining 4 schools when IHS is ready. I think this is the information. I think Mala, we were thinking about 3 computer centers, while it is 5. Yes. Thank you very much.
It's just for reporting sake. Maybe Sami can tell us the memo so that the report can capture that we have so memo on this and this. Number 2, to the Ministry of Education, there is this issue of alternative source of funding, Malan Sepiano. And all these sources of funding are not being captured in the budget. Maybe I could remember through some findings, there are support by old boys in the Ministry of Budget, for example. So I think maybe we may have that. The ministry can tell us about all those alternative sources since we are dealing with it. Maybe you may have information about that. If those issues are not captured, they are supposed to be captured. It may be a plus to the partnership. Thank you.
So what I will do is specifically on girls.
Okay, for which?
Yes.
For which is
separated?
Yeah, we have it. We have it. We have divisions.
With this additional information, yeah, I think it will also help us to have the monetary value of this renovation exercise that's ongoing, so that we capture the number at the schools and the monetary value for the construction or renovation that it involves.
It's not a reality, madam.
Okay.
To still to educate. I come again, old boys. Come again, doctor. You have old boys. What he's talking about? Maybe.
Our chairman, the 2020 million given by the state government to local government for the renovation of schools. I think there is need if we can have those for girls, so that the partnership can also take it. 2020 million to the LGAs. This year, by
Education Promotion Committee go?
Education Promotion Committee. I said community orientation.
The Ministry of Budget was a bit of that people don't report all those contributions.
Yes.
So they cannot capture them. Even, it's only recently that they started tracking donors and grants that come into Kano. So if we have the culture of reporting to the ministry, I think they can capture it. They don't know how to capture it because people don't interact with them when they are contributing. And they too are not looking for it because they don't know where to look for it.
Particularly the principals and the zonal directors. Because if all the boys are supporting the school, it's not the duty of all the boys to start going to the budget and planning. But for the principals to report to the zonal office to KSM and maybe to the ministry, then the Ministry for Education can now report to. Because it is happening, there is at the lower level, at the basic level. Because at the basic level, so.
I think what Doctor has raised is quite true. But when you come to relate it with the budget, you will not find the record there. But even when we look at our record, for cases in there, I'm sure of that, there are interventions, support from philanthropists, from student associations, and other stakeholders who, on their own, the level of contribution which determines what we write to the ministry. And the ministry has this record just as the ones we have sent. At certain points, you can even come across whereby some of these individuals or organizations are even awarded with some certificates of merit in recognition of their contribution to these groups. Sometimes even the state government is aware of this kind of contributions. And the records are all there. The only thing is, you cannot get it 100%, and nobody normally comes to ask for this kind of contributions that could be properly documented. Thank you.
The schools. I think the school principals should be adequately briefed to disseminate such to the appropriate quarters, because government has to, it has to be part of government budget. So I think what is not there is that the KSSME should brief principals of schools that whenever you have interventions, this is what you should do. Liaise with the Ministries of Education and Ministries of Budget and Planning, so that the projects concerned are appropriately incorporated into outgoing or incoming budgets. I think maybe some principals may not be aware of that. I think that's the problem. But if they do you then, from the Ministry of Education, then Ministry of Education will now eventually forward to the budget. Is it done at the level of, do we have officials of the Ministry of Education? So, are we saying that the Ministry of Education is not working in, well, I think we should find the problem. I can see directors of the Ministry of Education, they are here. I think there are directors from the Ministry of Education here. Please take note and take back to the permanent secretary this important information, that whenever schools report interventions, the ministry should appropriately also relay the same information to the Ministry of Budget and Planning and Budget. For the director, they take a responsibility. So, we're going to take that. I think partnership. I think let's take responsibility. As secretary is not here, partnership can take responsibility. Right, the Ministry of Education, we have realized that some projects that are on the Akekawa from philanthropists are not reflected in our budgets. It's in the light of that we are requesting the Ministry of Education to ensure prompt forwarding of such projects to the Ministry for Planning and Budget. As a reminder, I think in addition, sir,
the land to schools. And this kind of donation has been properly captured when the issue of callback of teachers from voluntary schools came home. So some of these philanthropists even though decided to hand over the schools to the state government. And the list of these schools are with the committee, which are
captured as part and parcel of the budget. The partnership will take responsibility, will write the ministry, and then the ministry will decide which director it will assign to do that. Probably it will form part of the functions of the Department of Education Service or Education Support Service, yes, it's left to them. I see, just a minute, I see that, I think, is there anybody from Subeb here? You are welcome, because Subeb, how do you report interventions? Are you director what? Budget. In fact, I want you. Please, yes. Let's introduce yourself because we would like you see what we're talking about. Ministry of Education. Of course, Subeb is Ministry of Education is the general umbrella for all these agencies. And we have been talking about how you relate with the Ministry of Budget, Ministry of Planning and Budget with regards to interventions from individuals, philanthropies, old boys associations, and so on. So introduce yourself and then maybe tell us how you do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. And then we do capture it in our capital receipt. Quite alright, you see it in our budget. We do that. In most cases, we ask the partners their proposed amount they want to intervene. So we capture that and then we communicate back to the Minister of Planning and Budget. And concerning this presentation, I can see that Subeb is here in terms of releases. There are releases quite alright, but unfortunately I don't know. I would have come with a figure and give them. But nevertheless, we still communicate and inform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director of Planning. I believe we have budget is from the department. From Minister of Education?
Yes. What education sector?
Nobody was like answering to the so, what I can tell us? No, we say the same. Same as far as the Minister of Education is concerned.
We have no any policies. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I think if you don't
Why as well can table here?
This day one from our co-chair.
The last slide, where you said you also consider. So outside equally, we have about 7 memos pending, which is not captured here. Thank you.
I just need clarification, Malam Sejano. The third to the last, Ministry for Local Government, the capital allocation is 163 million, and the release is 1.9 billion. So I need explanation here.
No, that's a planning promise is here.
Mr. Education is supposed to be the umbrella body for Subeb and all cases and so on and so forth. But I understand, having been a former head of service, I understand that Subeb is special and he could directly talk to Ministry for Budget and Planning. But we're asking the Ministry of Education coordinate your own and relate with the Ministry of Budget and Planning. That is as far as this intervention is concerned. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
And here, the new commissioner on education had called Mungai Sahakan. I told him that PERL and we are going to come. That's the advocate. But then we're not just going to go like that. That's why I requested all agencies that have outstanding memos. Like there are 7 memos from Sami. And incidentally, those memos have already had the acknowledgement from council, which means the memos are already in the council. So it's now left for the commissioner and can memos on a particular council day. So give us samples of your copies of your memo, so that when we go to him, we give him all the memos. And then, of course, allow him to choose the ones that he can present at council A, B, C, D, and until he finishes them. I will keep maybe following up to ensure that he has presented all the memos. So we have 7 from Sami. How many do we have from Subeb? Do we have any memos? Subeb? What sort of engagement are you looking at?
I mean, kamar irin taron nan haka da ake yi. Okay, I feel it would be nice if they invite some of the principals to be among for documentation purpose.
I think there is something for intervention from the federal government. Federal Ministry of Finance. Federal Ministry of Finance. So has this been related as it relates to government?
Yes.
Ministry of Education?
It's related to...
Relates to... you cannot talk to schools directly.
To government.
The Secretary, sir, the letter should not only go to KSSMB. Okay, because what is happening at Subeb, every month from the local government education authorities, any contribution either by philanthropists, or whoever, there is a social mobilization department at every local government. So they do collect the report and they send it to Subeb. But what I really don't know is whether Subeb is relating to the Ministry of for Education. But I know every month there is this report from every school that receive any intervention.
I think that's understandable. If you are a Subeb chairman, sometimes you do not have to relate to anything. But it doesn't matter. So long as the work is done, fair enough. I have had talks to come between Subeb and Minister of Education. I think this is off. Should I say this is off record? Director, please keep it off record. As far as I know. Sometimes I've had calls to come between Chairman Subeb and Permanent Secretary of Minister of Education. And then you went ahead to write its parastatals as separate entities. That is the beginning of the problem. If you say Ministry of Education, then you are listing under Ministry of Education all the agencies. But you see, even in what we have captured here is Ministry of Education on its own, then Subeb, then Library Board, and KSSMB. All this, I think, are supposed to be parastatals under the Ministry of Education. So if you write Ministry of Education and you want to write these specific ministries, put them under the Ministry of Education, but then keep them separate because we want to capture separate funds for each. And we are not going to write KSSMB. We will not write Subeb or KSSMB or any of the parastatals. Even though I was once, I headed a parastatal, but not like that. I was financially autonomous, like Subeb. But we'll write the ministry and then request the ministry that will write its various parastatals. So the letter that we are writing is going to the Ministry of Education, and then the Ministry of Education will in turn inform its parastatal of the contents of the letter that we are writing. That is what we are doing. But you see, the situation of Subeb is different. It is mightier than the ministry. Yes, it has more resources. So that's how it is. It's not a big deal. At the head of service, that intervention between Subeb and Chairman Subeb and Permanent Secretary. But then, even with the commissioners, I have intervened between the present Director of Commissioner Yanzu. He had problems with the Chairman Subeb. I had come between them. So, imagine the true situation is that the Ministry of Education is a supervising ministry, and Subeb is the mightiest of all the agencies under the Ministry of Education. That is what it is. So, the same letter will be copied to Subeb from the Ministry of Education.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, let me just explain what the chairman
also made a very, there is omission.
Yeah.
That is not there.
Assalamu alaikum. Mine is a question that needs clarification. At times, you might have an intervention, but the partner might not necessarily accompany the cost implication of the project. A good case to that, I could recall, in 2019, there was no International Literacy Day celebration because of the security challenges. So the National Commission made a stakeholders meeting. It was at the meeting that they gave some vocational materials and equipment to some states. This gave birth to the establishment of 3 model vocational centers for females in the Agency for Mass Education. The equipment and materials are worth millions of naira, but there is no cost implication attached to it. So in such a situation, what can we do? What we did, we wrote to the Minister of Education, this is what is happening. And we request from the government for its counterpart for the actualization of the vocational centers. But with regard to what we receive from the National Commission, we cannot say this is the actual cost because it was not given to us. But we cannot quantify what was given to us by the National Commission.
The same material was given to our department by our University, and we open a vocational center, but we make a cost of all the materials given to us and report to the VC that there was no cost implication, but based on projection, we think so amount material was given. Dollar some cost, that will be projection, perhaps some exact amount that will be a simple projection. Now we have got, I can put the graphics, that is the same thing. That is a projection.
Why can't you write to the organization that donated the items for you to give you the cost implication of what they have supplied to you? That can simply be done. Or as Doctor has said, you quantify the items that were given to you and then you write in your report what was the cost.
I would like to elaborate more on the renovation of repairs of the shuttle buses. I think about 14 of them have been completed, and the partnership can go and inspect. They are at the Governor's College. I've been there, I've seen them, about 14 of them painted. I didn't have the pictures here. Maybe you can share it.
Planning the budget documents, they also sing their success outcomes based on this. Even the budget releases, the budget performance, they do it based on the sectors. Not based on, that's why we also copy the way they do. Sorry for getting maybe as part of
because each agency will have its own agency, will also write its own requests and make memos. But then eventually, it is the Commissioner of Education that makes the presentation as a council. So we are not quarreling with what they have done, but we are trying to say, by just saying that we should know. I think it's important to be educated about anything. The Ministry of Education is a mother of all agencies under it, and control that they should be made clear. But there is nothing wrong with this. If I were the one writing, I would have just made indentations, put some indents, move to left to a bit the middle, and keep Ministry of Education by towards the right, the left, then but then their budgets are kept on their own.
Thank you, sir. I've come a long way, and we have come far, because at least this session shows that we are progressing. We're really progressing in the partnership. And also, I feel that we keep the tempo, but I think We don't have to take much of our time here. Mainly is to have this and also to go for the next steps. Before going for the next steps, I think let me seek the permission of Chairman so that we can just have the next steps and then pray, launch and close. Now again, it's better for us. If I have the permission of Chairman, I think we will continue.
Looking for memos that concern us. For information, quote and not quote, only memos that concern our particular interest here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to repeat that we are interested for now, for the purpose of this gathering, we want to present memos to the new commissioner, only memos that concern the girl education. Only memos that concern girl education. That is not to say that we do not care about the remaining part of education. But when you bring all your memos, we will take out, we will select the girl education, concern memos for presentation. Of course, we'll give you the rest. So this is a kind of information. I would like to have those meetings by Monday. To Mala Abusali, Secretary Partnership. That is a meeting with them. So we are listening to other participants for that. I'm quite sure, looking at where the GA is tilting, we are moving towards the promised land. Sincerely speaking, a lot of achievements have been made. Just on the fact that we have scarce resources in the state, but indeed the state government is doing a lot. What I want to call on attention is on its place. Since the girls' child court, budget court, a lot have been raised. That is the capital in the girls' education budget has been raised. That of the ministry and other agencies. And you see, each of the agencies under the Ministry of Education have its own budget. And in the budget, there are certain things to do specifically on girls' education. As Sadiano has shown on the screen, Ministry of Science and Technical Schools Board, KSMB, and other agencies, if you look at it very well, there is zero release of funds as far as girls' education is concerned. Wow. And that is why I stand to show what is there on the screen. Which is about 9 million naira, seconded by classes provision at GSTC, Jawoji. We have furnishing of class furnitures in that very school. We have study building still in that very school. We have latrine at First Ladies College. So please, what I want to say is, the agencies have a lot on girls' education. But the main problem is, we have memos, but there are no releases pertaining to memos. So I'm calling on this sitting, that is the girls' education partners and all other parties, please raise a strong advocacy team that will visit the new Honorable Commissioner of Education and other key personnel within this government. If you go with these proposals, show them the importance, persuade them on the importance attached to girl education. I believe with this, their attention will come back to what we have in the agencies for girls' education. Let me give a simple example. Between 20 Technical Schools Board, which is according to the state government, and believe me, with that 4 schools, we have increased in the enrollment of girl students. We have more than 3,000 additional girl students in our colleges. So if the government will look at this and then make GSCC can do the possible, and then other schools that we need the construction of our classes or provision of classes, definitely the enrollment will increase. And again, what we have in mind is, we want these girls, apart from having the classroom knowledge, we want them to be having different skills. We want them to have skills so that whenever they are out of school, if they are not opportune to proceed with their studies, at least they can be sitting in their houses and then doing one thing or another. They will not be
dependent on anyone. They will be independent. So please, I'm calling this very sitting to please come up with a strong advocacy team so that releases in our agencies will be possible. Thank you.
That's what we are talking about. We have been looking for memos to inundate the incoming commissioner with. So that's exactly what we are doing. We are looking for memos, particularly those that concern this city, to inundate the new commissioner with. If the DJC want him to start, he starts now. The DJC will work quicker than an older commissioner. So give us all the memos that concern GE. Yes, give copies to us. For your information, I have already started the advocacy. I started it from here. This morning, as I sat here, I sent him a text. And he called me back. He called me back. And he requested that we please help him, be with him so that he can succeed. And I told him we are doing a GEP meeting here, and we're going to come with a lot of things for him. So please give us what to take to him. So how many memos do you have? How many?
No, 4 memos. 2, we are waiting for the release of the funds. It has already been approved with the Ministry of Finance. And then we have 2 within the Ministry of Education.
So give us copies. We will not have to start looking for memos. We will give him. Then he will assemble his team, things and what to take a council. So give us copies. Photocopies so that we give us 2. Madam, give us 70. ASSM will give us 2. So and all that committed to Mala Abu Sadi. Please, on Monday, the Honorable Commissioner, I think we are doing this on Monday. On Monday. So I will not go there until Tuesday. Tuesday.
Opportunity for the GEP, apart from taking the memo, to also have, let's agree on the members that go to advocate as the introduction to the commissioner that GEP represents. So I think Mama, and let's select so that I select a mom that is
my own is not courtesy. I'm doing it on Tuesday.
Make an addition on this issue of advocacy. The way it goes on advocacy differently, because it's not only seeing the commissioner of local government, education, and the rest. That is not enough. From what we have been discussing here, I understand that there is a need to go to this MPS where they have problems, so that they could be prepared on how to do things. Otherwise, we may just end up having the same gaps without making any effort to fill it up. Thank you.
I feel it would be nice if we engage some of the principals where this intervention is being taking place, like the construction, the rehabilitation of some schools and building of some blocks. It would be nice if the principals are being engaged, because it's been taking place in their school. They even know better. And since we even identified documentation, maybe some of those principals are not really aware of how to report achievements or so. I feel it's nice if the partnership will engage some of the principals.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Based on my observation, we are doing a lot about health education to see that all our girls has acquired a minimum certificate of secondary school. We have a lot of money has been spent at the time, but there's one thing that is happening. It has to be included in the programs that are setting to go there as the commissioner, any commissioner. Please, ko ba a cikin mana ya yi karatu, kuma lokacin da muka yi karatu an ba mu tarbiyya daidai gwargwado, wanda ta kai ta kawo ko mu da muke makarantar maza lokacin da muke karatu idan litin ta yi sai an zo an duba tsaftar jikinmu, tsaftar kayayyakinmu, mun yi aski ko mun yi wasu abubuwan gaba da. To irin wannan tarbiyyar da halaye da ya kamata an gabarwa a cikin sakandare yaran mu su tashi gaskiya an watsar da ita. Da Allah ina so shi wannan kwamishina ya fito an ji an gan shi ko kuma abin da tura masa game da ake cewa akwai pending issue da za a je a kai masa akan bashi ko wasu abubuwa a sa a ciki a jawo hankalin dukkanin principals da suke makarantun da Allah sun ga kula da yaran da aka ba su amana aka ba su. Akwai abin da ya faru har wani malami yake faɗa a cikin lecture ko kuma cikin karatun sai ke cewa akwai wata yarinya ta fito za ta tsallaka titi mota ta buge ta, an duba hannunta an ga akwai impact a ciki, kuma iskar da school ce kuma ba aure take da ita ba. Da aka je makaranta aka duba ta ce ai kusan mabiyancin yaran suna da su, da aka duba kuma haka. To da Allah tarbiyya ce ya kamata tunda an ba mu amanar ƴaƴan nan mu tabbatar cewa mun tabbatar da tarbiyyar da aka ba mu amana kansa. Wata tarbiyyar iyaye ba sa yi amma a makaranta ana yin ta dole. Kamar yadda mutane za su kawo mana mutane su ce mu samu hannu akan takarda, in su zo mu gaya musu ba za mu sa ba sai ka sa hula a kanka, saboda tarbiyya ce ta mutanen Kano gaba daya. To da Allah irin wannan tarbiyyar da aka yi mana a secondary da Allah mu ɗauka amana ce malaman mu suka yi mana kuma sun soke mana, su ma a gaya kuma shi ya jawo hankalin principals na makarantu musamman makarantun mata. Da ku ga an tsaya na ta kashe kuɗi nan ana cewa ya musu kaza ya musu kaza ya musu kaza. To idan ba tarbiyya duk wannan abin da ake aikin banza ne. Na farko kenan, na biyu kuma bala'i za su ta faru a cikin gari saboda saba ubangiji. Da Allah akan wannan abin da ke bada shawara kwamishina idan za a rubuta idan za a je a same shi irin wannan a gaya masa wannan ba kuɗi za a kashe ba kawai directive zai bayar, ya ba directive ɗin kuma ko zai shiga harkarsa gaba ɗaya. Assalamu alaikum.
Of the public note who fails to comply with the provision of subsection 1 of this section commits an offense and is liable of commission to a fine of 1,000 naira for each day of the day of commits an offense and is liable of commission to a fine of 5,000 naira. So a person who is suffering from any disability and who intentionally parks in the place reserved for persons.
Ni tambaya zan yi a kan maganar da ciyaman na SBMC ya yi cewar an yi lissafa waɗansu makarantu za a gyara a sabon gari. Na ji ya faɗi makaranta guda ɗaya dawo, ban sani ba ko sauran makarantun irin mai kwatashi ɗan ware suna cikin lissafin da ya yi. In akwai su a cikin lissafi, magana ta gaskiya kar a yi gyaran nan sai an samar da tsaro da yadda za a yi. Magana ta gaskiya an yi gyara na san na blog wajen guda 10 a cikin makarantar mai kwatashi boys da girls, ina jin ya kai blog 10 aka gyara, amma yanzu nan babu blog guda ɗaya mai aiki. Makarantar ɗan wayare wannan wacce take kusan zagaye da kasuwa ma, ita ma kwanan nan an yi gyara, saboda haka wannan asarar kuɗi ce. Duk makarantun nan ba su da tsaro ko guda ɗaya. Ita dawo ita ce take kusa-kusa saboda da tana wajen gari za mu iya cewar bata fuskanci wannan barazanar ba da stadium da dawo. Amma magana ta gaskiya duk sauran makarantun magana ta gaskiya in har za a yi gyara to ya kamata a yi setting kwamiti na tsaro kuma a samar da tsaron kafin a saka dukiya a wayannan guraren.
Based on this, we have to write the situation because second narration, analysis, it's time for them to act. And also we should copy the Commission of Education and also the other commissions that are responsible for that. Do you get it? Yes. Thank you.
I was thinking, can we think out of the box? All this effort we have been putting is towards a girl education. And I was thinking in another direction that why can't we put in place a mechanism where we can monitor for the continuity, sustainability of that girl's education. We have been having cases of dropouts, early marriage, etc., etc. Can we think out of the box to put a mechanism in place so that we can be monitoring the sustainability, the continuity from basic to post-basic to upper basic of these girls? Otherwise, all this about will be put in to be one leg. Thank you very much.
We can sustain this tempo that we are doing. Is that okay? Thank you.
Okay, mine is an observation and a suggestion. Our experienced administrators are going by day. And those ones being elevated to become directors and principals of schools, honestly, they come on board, but no injection on roles and responsibilities. And especially the directors, you can hardly find 50% of directors in an organization or MDA that can really sit down and write constructive memo. So I suggest that we can advocate for an injection course, especially for directors, on memo writing, so that at least we don't shy away, because sometimes the problems are there, the needs are there, but how to sit down and really construct presentable memo that we can forward. That is why we shy away. We don't even write the memos. We can only sit and mention, we need this, we need that. So I think this is my suggestion.
I think the second from Subeb, I think what you are advocating has been part of the agenda of the DEP. Well, today we have concentrated only on issues, very specific issues that have been part of the budget. But if you look at other activities, you will discover, you will ask already at the Ministry of Education, there's a desk officer, or is it coordinator? I'm no longer in the service, so I may have a slip of tongue, but I didn't know voice. The desk officer already, which is an innovation to sustain the efforts that we are doing here. And I think there are more innovations that are going to come about as we go along. And I think with regards to the issue of memo writing that Hajia Ladidi is talking about, I think it's in order. But however, I want to say that recently there was a circular from the head of civil service where it says for those going to director, there will be some special examinations. That one is there, but that may not be enough. But for what Hajia Ladidi is suggesting, I think you should apply as a consultant, apply to the office of the head of civil service. Yes, apply and cost it, and request government to give you a contract to coach director staff on on memo writing. Yes, let's apply. Incidentally, I was once permanent secretary of manpower development. So apply for a consortium. If you like, from a girl education partnership, for a consortium, apply to government. Cost yes. You apply, and I'm sure government will oblige you. They'll give you some 500 number to train on memo writing. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I
have been to GGS, Science and Technical Schools, Walmart, GSTC, and I have been to Absatical Luja, that is at Jaoji Quarters. Please, even though we have, I have submitted my report, but SUMA, they need an intervention, honestly, especially with GSTC Walmart, because there is no fence, and we have been to the school, and unfortunately, because there's a meeting that we attended, the same with the principal, what happened, she was telling me she was answering the office in the question. That is when the Akabada and Kayan Wasa. So she was telling me about it. Then started to SUMA Sina the peculiar they need SUMA to one day it involves, because me, I spoke with the children at DOM, they do have an ICT center, but there is no laboratories. They do have an ICT center in a site, but no laboratories. A well-equipped ICT center, but there is no laboratory, no physics, no chemistry, no biology laboratory, and there is no home economics laboratory. So then they did mention about they need tabarmi da Allah, because yanzu na tuna in akwai inda za a iya taimaka musu yara, because I spoke with them and I communicated with the principal. Na tuna maybe as time goes on, da zai iya cikin wani abu. Sorry, dama tana da cewa I should share, but this is something wanda I cannot expose it, because abin da ya shafi gwamnati ne tukuna. I have to let them know. Sai na dole na sanar wasu my superior officers kafin in zo in faɗa kuma ana asabar na shi. Thank you.
Doctor, tambaya ce da kuma tuni. A zaman da aka ta yi a baya, kuma yanzu na ɗan ji a sassafiya ya kawo shi, maganar sources, da ya kira shi yana zuwa alternative funding. Wancan zama da aka yi a tahir aikin a nan sama, akwai organizations da suka alƙawari za su tallafa, akwai individual da suka alƙawari za su tallafa, amma ba mu ji labarin sun yi ko ba su ba. So ya kamata an zauna irin wannan bibiya din, in an taɓa alƙawari a wanda ya alƙawari, wata ke da ya manta, wata ke da ya shafa. A zuciya mai yi magana IHS, kaga sun yi alƙawari ga shi kuma sun yunkurin za su yi. So sauran da suka yi alƙawari ba, idan suka zo za su taimaka, so ya kamata a ɗauke shi wannan a matsayin next step. Then abu na biyu shi kuma shawarar zan bada, akwai abin da har yanzu yana constituting barriers to girls education, shine hidden charges. Hidden charges. Akwai abin da za a zo a makaranta a ce yarinya ta kawo ko waye kawo wata ta tafi ta tafi. So ya kamata shi ma a duba shi a san da za a magani shi, because akwai research da aka yi kuma abin da ya constitute to wannan.
Item number 5, I just want to advise the SBMC chairman the issue of Kanuda renovating the schools. Like the schools in Sabangari, I know at the time I know the enrollment is not that high. So if such schools are renovated, what are they going to enroll? So please, you have to seek Kanuda and try to identify the schools where the renovation will be on much, will have much impact. Most of the people in Sabangari, they enroll their children in private schools. We have big primary schools.
Well, gaskiya ne a manta ma ne a bayanin yara su suke zaune a community nan, su suke requesting gwamnati da yi. In fact an fara mu ba mu sani ba, yan jaridu sun tambaye ni, sun tambaye na Hassan da muka ce mu sani ba. Sauran Laraba da dare ta wuce, gwamna ya sa aka kira mu aka ce lallai gashi an yi constitution committee muna cikin muje. To amma shawarar da kuka bada ta magana a nemi security a mai design, kuma abin da zai bada mamaki, ni ma mutum fage na san abin da ya faru a nan cikin sabon gari nan. Ainihin makarantar na dama makarantu ne na missionaries, lokaci ne ma aka ba gwamnati su. So waɗanda suke wajen nan majority Christians, kuma wanda suke amfani da makarantar ne yawanci yan tsararre ne daga nasara local government suke shigowa. So a daban ma da muka je labai, a daban da muka je darakta din yana faɗa sun zo za a yi jarabawa, yara suna aji kawai wani ya tsallako daga silin da bindiga shi, yara suka gudu, wasu sun bar makarantar kenan har yanzu. So irin wani abubuwan gaskiya da nan, kuma a kwamiti da akwai members na House of Assembly, akwai yan daga government house, kuma wannan issues na security da an zo da shi. So ima insha Allah tun da zamu zo na Monday zan faɗi wannan din Allah ya. Enrollment ne so babu enrollment, amma ka san har akwai agitation ba cewa a bada makarantun a bawa security agencies makarantun, to wannan abu ya danganta ga wanda gwamnati ne. Sannan maganar kuɗi yana bayan zana kira MD na gwamnati a muna wannan zaman akan tambayar da akibi. Insha Allah wurin wanda zan ansa zan ba Abdul Sani cost na wannan makarantun da aka insha Allah. Abudi.
Population na makarantun nan gaskiya ba gaskiya bane in aka ce amount din is meager, magana ta gaskiya, saboda dabo har yamma suna yi. Me yasa ba za su yi majin ba su rinka yin one section? Misali mai kwataci boys da girls duka suna yin safa da yamma, dan ware suna yin safa da yamma, dukkaninsu waɗannan makarantun secondary school, kuma yaran nan har daga tudun murtala, rimin kebe, dakata, tudun wada, gama, kaura goje, gawuna, dukkaninsu suna zuwa. Waɗansu yaran daga cikin fage, saboda magana ta gaskiya ka je ka ga population ɗin makarantun nan a lokacin da suke karatu, sati mai zuwa za a koma.
Da nake so in ce da garin gaba nake son ba shawara. Shawara da ce ka shiga nasara lokacin gama.
Mike.
Nasara lokacin gama ka nemi BIS. Idan ba wannan makarantun nan akwai wani program da federal government za ci na gyaran makarantu wanda ba su da za a fensin su mun yi su so nake zuwa ran talata Allah da za mu tura federal government email don a hada duk kasa da so idan ba makarantun ka kaga sai a kokari a saka kafin a tura.
It should be for the state, for all the schools, if possible. Let's put it there. And to identify girls' schools that are not yet placed, so that we can forward to the director for our planning, Ministry for Local Government, for onward submission to the land government. I think it's okay. Okay? Girls' schools that are yet to be fenced, the fencing.
In the state. They have
And in addition on what we have said earlier, if you those words initiative is available for the IHS on computer intervention. What I want to call our attention on is we have to look at other bodies that can come in and give in their support. You see, in our colleges we have different trades. Like this latest garment, we have handset maintenance, we have photography, we have tank work. So if there are those that can come in and supply us with equipment, teach students these skills, they are welcome. They're supposed to be fished out and then we go to them and then they provide us with such equipment, please. Thank you.
Ministry for Local Government has written to
local government. See, kowace local government. Din da suke da bukatar gyara ko fencing ko wani additional wani abu.
Makarantun da suke under the local government.
Da secondary ba ake magana, secondary da primary.
Ai, duniya secondary
da suke decided a each and every local government. Tunda an hada da zonal directors. Da zonal directors aka hada. Da principals su za su malami ake so. Form ne za a cike wa makarantar da requirement din da suke.
So in the Hakane, then we come and do that. Go for about it. Let me.
Wannan ni da na je na ta complain na ce je secretariat ya samu ga wanda zai samu sai ya ciki ya tabbatar cewa wayannan makarantun sun shiga kafin a fi wani to na san ba su shiga ba zai kokari ya wannan sai a identify din sa haka
kuma to za ka aiko wa gyara education partnership takarda so that we can respond to it.
I want to know that in fact
I think this is for information. Yes. Not the guy because it's something that we can add. It's appreciated because already part of the reason why I can go to Makarantu, I kind of said, fencing. Akwai wannan take a daga tsalle who are there, I think it's about the fencing. Although I'm not a regular fencing. Many I approving kudin fencing. I think what is key education sun sani 100 million an bayar ba ai ba. Akwai so many of waɗannan ayyuka. So an samu yana intervention, it will help the government in taking care of that program. But then it means we don't even have to do anything. It's information that we have. We can store the information to akwai wannan. But you can I think that's it.
And thank you very much, all of us, for what we have done today. Because alhamdulillah, we have done a lot. And we hope, inshallah, it will also be part of Zakashi Jari Demokrat Dunia. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I think it's right time for us to have the vote of thanks and then close with prayer, go for our lunch and prayers, and then close for the day. Thank you very much.
I think it's worth praising the partnership for all the good work that we have been able to document today. We know that we started from ground zero, but today look at where we have reached. I think it's worth praising. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. Please. Well done. Well done to everybody. I believe with this effort that we have put together, definitely at the end of the day, we will reach where we want to see. And what is that? Is improve in for girls' education around access, having access, increase enrollment, retention, transition, and then completion. I think we are on the right path. So well done, and once again, thank you, everybody.
Say thank you to everybody for having been patiently here. I can see that the population, we have been well populated, and it did not deplete from the beginning to this time. This is quite appreciated. And the contribution has been enormous. We have had contributions from all endeavors in this room. We are happy. I think some of the contributions will take as information, and some will take for action. Some will not discard any information that we get here. We appreciate all the information that we get, and we hope that the spirit of cooperation that we received during this meeting will continue. We also are thankful to Allah that we have been able to achieve a lot. This party has achieved a lot in terms of improvement of Delta education in Kano State. We would like to assure that we hope that we will continue, but this is a time to persevere. It is very difficult to get government attention, particularly at this time at the height of politicking. But even then, we hope and pray that we will persevere, and all our, whatever we require, we get government attention. We thank everybody, and we pray that everybody reaches his destination safely and happily. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Reminder, we are looking for copies of memos. Yes, for onward transmission to the new commissioner. Latest Monday.
Memos from directors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's have.
Stand up. The range called clap. We are in rainy season, right? Yes. And rain starts very little back. Then it will get louder. It will get louder. At the end, you will hear thunder. When I say thunder, make sure you add your feet. Okay? Let's start. Now, the rain is drizzling. It's drizzling 1 finger, 2 fingers, 2 fingers, 3 fingers. It's drizzling, 4 fingers.
The session was rounded off with a special prayer by village head of Ganding Albasa.
Has made a lot of achievements. I think first among them is the additional support in terms of sponsoring of girl child for the 2022 NECO exams. The government approved an additional sum of 199 million naira to sponsor more girl child for the 2022 examinations. We have also been able to get the government to repair 20 shuttle vehicles for shuttling of girl child to schools in Kano metropolis.
Thank you very much.
My name is Tijani Halad Baraya. I'm the State Chairman, School-Based Management Committee, SBMC Kano.
From the SBMC's perspective, how would you assess the journey so far of this girls' education partnership in relation to your course?
Alhamdulillah, I can say everything is well. As far as I'm concerned, this partnership is a very good one. Why? Because a lot of things, as you see from today's discussion, we have learned a lot of things. We have had a lot of achievements. A lot have been achieved, and with the cooperation of the government given to the citizens, government has accepted, given approval to create a budget code for girls. This is a great achievement. Then another one, government has also accepted and directed the Ministry of Education to establish girls education unit. There is now an officer in charge of that unit. All this is to support the citizens, since the citizens are agitating for girls education. And the only thing government can do is to leverage on that their support to in a way that this partnership will sustain. And we have had a lot of contribution from various organizations. For example, we have had the IHS. IHS is an engineering company, I think affiliated to or rather under the MTN Nigeria. They are now trying to support 5 schools from the 5 emirate councils. Already, Government Girls Secondary School DGNU has been selected from Kano Emirate Council, and we have learned from the chairman of this partnership that IHS have sent a team of consultants. They have started doing oil tests. This is a very encouraging for us at SBMC, because this is what we have been looking for, this is what we have been agitating for, this is what we have been mobilizing people to come and support our schools. And we have seen today that what we are doing is good, because already government and the FCDO have created or rather established this partnership, and so far the journey is good.
Thank you very much.
So, auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Sunana Dr. Awala Halilu, shugaban gamayyan kungiyoyi masu rajin ganin ilimi ya isa ga kowa da kowa, kuma memba na Girls Education Partnership.
Kullum ana maganar yunkurin yadda za a inganta ilimin mata, za mu so mu ji daga wannan taro da aka yi yau. Me za ka ci game da irin nasarorin da aka samu?
To, alhamdulillahi wannan taro ya nuna mana abubuwa da yawa. A matsayinmu na kwamiti masu bibiyan ayyuka da ya shafi ilimin mata, mu mun iya gano abubuwa
aikace-aikace da kudade da gwamnati ta saka don a yi ayyuka da suka jibanci ilimin mata. Haka kuma wasu mun gano su, wasu kuma sai yau muke ganowa an ce a yi kaza, an ce a yi kaza, wanda ba a yi ba kuma aka ba da shawarwarin me za a ce ma gwamnati. Su ma akwai wasu hanyoyi na daban da ake bi banda gwamnati a tallafa ma ilimin matan, mu ga ina muka kwana kuma me za mu bibiya a kai. To a takaice dai idanunmu sun daɗa budewa me gwamnati take yi, me kuma ya kamata a yi a gaba. Wannan shine nasarar da aka samu.
Your name and your designation?
My name is Dr. Awal Halilu, the State Coordinator, Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All, and member of the Girls Education Partnership.
What is your take on this governance?
Our take is one, after analysis of the releases of budget on girls' education, we try to look at what are the progress we are getting as far as the releases are concerned. Not only us as citizens group, but to meet with government partners also to see all the results we have gotten from the issue related to girls' education. Are we on the right track, or there are discrepancies? Which, after a lot of discussion, majority of the information we have are right. The government partners add orders for us for more verification, and the meeting also tried to look at where we need to put heads together between the citizens group and the government partners in order to bring out or to improve issue of girl child education in Kano State. And Alhamdulillah, a lot has been done. Agreement has been reached. We hope to see good result in future. Inshallah.
Thank you very much.
My name is Merobello. Primarily I work for AHIP, Adolescent Health and Information Project, but I'm the co-chair for Girls Education Partnership from the citizen side, because the partnership is made up of both government and citizens group. And from the citizen side, I'm the co-chair, and we have achieved a lot, in fact, from when we started on this journey for girls' education. First of all, there was no coordination point for girls' education when we started, and it was during our inception phase that we actually advocated for an office for girls' education, not just child, girls' education. And the partnership also advocated to have budget code for girls' education, not only in Ministry of Education, but in all other agencies that work for girls' education. For instance, RUASA is not in Ministry of Education, but they have a budget code for hygiene and all those kind of stuff. Ministry of Local Government have budget line for education. Ministry of Women Affairs have budget line for education. Those are the few that I can tell you offhand. And not only do those agencies have budget, they are also always hands on deck to see that they get those monies from the budget and implement those things that will make for a quality girls' education in the state.
Thank you very much.